Cineboys to Cinemen, episode 100.
100.
Here we are, as promised.
Nothing. Not a great deal.
No deviation from the norm.
No, I've got the same cardigan on as a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
I was going to find like a YouTube video of one of those party trumpets, but we had some technological gremlins in the machine, so I haven't had a chance.
Literally leafed from the script of The Matrix.
Yeah.
This week, I know, hang on. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. We need to say that. Yeah, hope you're well wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Bit rusty. Yeah. This week, Sendhelp.
Ooh. Sam Raimi's 6th or 7th? No, 8th or 9th, I don't know.
It's one of the films he's made.
Yeah.
I think he's done quite a few films.
Yeah.
20 films, maybe? 22, I want to say.
Yeah, let's say that.
Yeah.
And welcome, Lee, by the way. I should have mentioned. Returning guest Lee Markham is back with us.
What number's this now, Lee?
What of the episodes I've been on?
Yeah. I'm just asking you to repeat it's 100th episode. Desperate for something.
I was going to say, I believe it's 100th episode, if I'm not mistaken. I think this might be like the 4th or the 5th, maybe.
Okay.
Obviously, I was going to get us all some kind of like muscle vest to commemorate my 4th or 5th episode of being on here and tie it in with the 100th episode, but they're still in China, sadly, so, need to get hold of them, maybe for the 200 episodes.
Yeah, assuming we're all still alive.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. No, 100 episodes, it's good.
It's nice. Yeah. I can't believe we've done this, actually. It is generally quite
an achievement.
Yeah. I don't think there's a great deal else that anyone has done 100 of.
No.
And I do have to give you guys credit as well to be able to do 100 episodes and neither of your partners have left you. That is something to be proud of.
That we know of.
Yeah.
What they're up to now, we don't know.
Yeah. It could be a clandestine affair.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool. Genuinely.
To commemorate the 100th episode, so we do have something, not necessarily this episode, but we were thinking about doing a Cineboys watch along. I think we've mentioned this a few times.
Yeah.
So when this episode comes out, we're going to start a poll on the Instagram. So I think the first way to go about it is maybe people put the films in they'd like us to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a director's commentary, but by people that didn't direct it or have no. And then so you put the film in, and then we'll put it to a poll. People can vote. We'll put a couple of our own in.
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
and then we'll see how we get on from there.
Yeah, all of mine are going to be just sunshine. It's going to be.
I think we kind of without realising, did a kind of dry run yesterday, didn't we? So we saw Sendhelp yesterday, but we also saw Australian horror film Boar.
Yeah, Boar.
Yes. The animal.
Yeah, not the war.
And we were talking about it quite a lot, and I don't think we really intended to, but we were kind of almost talking throughout the film as if we were being recorded.
Yeah, there's definitely the first like 20 minutes we were kind of riffing off each other in a hilarious way.
Oh, it was really funny. It's a shame it wasn't recorded. Yeah. George was laughing from upstairs.
You were laughing from your house. It was that prevalent.
It's the only reason I came on today. I heard how funny you guys were yesterday. I was like, I want a bit of that.
Boar. Check it out. Have you seen it, Lee? Have you
I haven't. I can't say I have, but it sounds great.
Yeah, they're just a big boar killing people in the outback. Weirdly, it's like the classic. Sorry, this is a bit of a deviation, but it's like a lot of low-budget horror films where they just pack it with lots of superfluous filler. So there's just bits where there's like characters talking. It doesn't serve the plot whatsoever.
Yeah,
and it's also really horny.
Oh my god!
Excellent.
But there's a bit in it, but there's like unsettlingly horny. Like there's
unnecessarily horny.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a horror film. A low budget horror. But there's literally a bit was like a family car journey, and it's the mum, the stepdad, the son, and the girlfriend. No, not the girlfriend. The daughter. Freudian slip. The daughter and her boyfriend in the back of the car, and the boyfriend in front of the whole family is openly praising her oral sex skills. And the family don't seem to be too bothered by it.
No, it seems like he's been doing it for a while and they got used to it because they're all just like merrily kind of driving along. It's
Sorry, don't we all talk about all sex with our parents-in-law? Or, otherwise, the first thing you say is,
Yeah, go to shake his hand. Hi, Lee. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, how you been? Oh, great. It's a cracking cunnilingus earlier.
oh yeah. So you just need to see a play or something.
Yeah. I just sort of just carving the turkey or something. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there's a textbook oral this morning, I have to say.
Textbook?
Would you like some potatoes?
Potatoes. Aunt Bessie's.
I call them taters. It's a thing we do in this family. Oh yeah, lovely, thanks.
Right, should we get into it? Sam Raimi as well we'll talk about.
Oh yeah, Sam Raimi,
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's do it now.
Questing the cinematic void.
So Sam Raimi. Obviously, you know, when you're when a film comes out, there's lots of promotional material, a lot of interviews, and I caught one yesterday, and I think it was quite a good opportunity to sort of kick the conversation off, and it kind of ties into him as a filmmaker and where he started. But he was talking about how to get your film made, and something he said which really kind of, I don't know, given that where he is now, I thought was quite interesting. He was saying that don't wait outside the doors of Hollywood waiting to get like a job role as like an assistant cameraman or something. Go and just make your own film.
Okay, yeah.
Which is kind of like very much in the spirit of how he started out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it's especially interesting given the situation, not the situation, but the place he is in now as a filmmaker, as someone that is kind of, I think Sendhelp is a slight deviation from this, but more recently kind of has a sort of director for hire vibe about him a little bit.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. What do you think about that? Given that he obviously started out in this kind of like, he's kind of like one of the sort of, if you're kind of a sort of aspiring filmmaker like him and Kevin Smith, and you know, they're the kind of like DIY champions of that kind of ethos, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think since maybe like Multiverse of Madness, a film I haven't seen.
No.
And even maybe arguably like Oz the Great and Powerful, although I think he did Drag Me to Hell after that, which was a bit more of a return to his sort of signature style, albeit very much under like a modern microscope. Yeah, I don't know. I think that scrappiness has disappeared from him, and actually Sendhelp is a kind of, I mean, you were saying yesterday, like Sendhelp was a kind of example of that in some ways.
Yeah, confined, I think. More background. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But yeah, no, what do you think?
No, I think he makes a very good point there. I think, especially, I mean, we're always talking about how the film industry is very kind of like, almost like about who you know. Like, you know, all the discourse about Nepo babies and stuff like that. Like, the thing is, I think there's definitely an element of that. And if you're, for example, just working at the bottom of, like, you know, in the studio system now, or just working kind of a small role on a film set, I don't think it is like it used to be back in the day, where you can just go from, like, kind of being the person grabbing the coffees to then, like, you know, the head of Warner Brothers going, oh, do you want to direct this next film with like that?
Cracking oat make latte, you mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a thing anymore.
No.
So I do feel like you do have to show, you know, you got to show your chops in another way. And Raimi's the ultimate example, because, like, a lot of great directors do tend to start out in horror films anyway. And that's, I think it's almost like a good test of whether a filmmaker is good at their job, because, like, it's very difficult to scare people, and you have to try so many different ways to do that. So you have to be creative, and you have to use craft to show, you know, to scare people, and in turn that kind of showcases your talent. So I think there's an element of truth to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, I probably would say he's, you know, he's just I imagine he's just at a comfy point in his life where he just directs when he wants to direct now, because he's done, you know, he's worked from the bottom, like, you know, making the Evil Dead films with like no budget, to making like the Spiderman films and like the, you know, Oz the Great and Powerful. So he's worked with big budgets. And like, I think he just, if, you know, like, he can do essentially whatever he wants now. And, like, yeah, he probably just, like, you know, like, looked at the script of this one and just thought, you know what, I think I could do something fun with this. I don't think, you know, like, I can't necessarily see him doing another Evil Dead.
No.
He doesn't need to.
It wouldn't work if he's too established now for that to work.
Because obviously I'm not sure how old he is, but he must be like, what, in his 50s or 60s now? Like,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
like, that sort of it, like, the kind of starting from the bottom. It is, for the most part, a young man's game. A young person's game, sorry. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think now more than ever, his message about working outside the studio system is really important because, you touched on it, Lee. We frequently lament the studio system quite a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of technological innovations that have changed industry, some for the worse. But I think, one of the things that gives me comfort is this feeling that a lot of these kind of outside forces or people just making films on off their own back, that's where film is going to. I think there's going to be something special that's going to happen there if you just go back to that.
Yeah, that's quite an optimistic view.
Well, I just feel like the kind of the way culture's going, and I think people are kind of more and more are kind of pushing back against what's being given to them. And I think they're going to have to go back and find it in themselves and with like-minded people for something good to be made. I'm not saying that everything that comes out of Hollywood is total arse gravy. There's plenty of good stuff, as we often say. So I've got to kind of try and try and be a bit more balanced, perhaps, and try and fight off my cynicism. But
no.
I do think a revival of kind of like a more kind of grassroots sort of new Hollywood style kind of filmmaking revolution, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the same way it happened before. People making stuff off their own back, low budget, groups of friends. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's so Iron Lung came out recently? It's sort of an example of that. Do you think that's a kind of key point in this industry, kind of going back to that Sam Raimi level of just like pick up a camera and go into the woods and film it kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it should be absolutely encouraged. Obviously it's going to be mixed results depending on what's being made, but that's the same with everything, and people should be allowed to have those experiments and should be allowed to fail and should be I think it can be so cutthroat when you get to a certain point in the industry, but if you're working outside of the confines of it, then crack on. I genuinely think there's some optimism to be had in that. I think people pushing back against what's being sort of spoon-fed to them, and hopefully, very much in the same spirit of sort of Sam Raimi when he first started out.
It reminds me, sorry for my ignorance, I can't remember the name of the directors. It's the Australian duo who I think were YouTubers who made the
Talk to Me.
Oh yeah, and that new film with Sally Hawkins, which I haven't seen.
Bring Her Back.
Yes.
Has anyone seen that?
No, I have seen that actually.
You quite liked it, didn't you?
I did like it. It was very intense. It had a similar, kind of intenseness to kind of like the violence,
right?
Which I think really works for me, where it's that kind of, it really makes me cringe when you see that kind of realistic, visceral violence.
Yeah, I struggle with it in my older age.
Yeah. But I think in that context it works because you're genuinely distressed, which is kind of like
the point of horror, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I would say they're really impressive filmmakers, but I think they started off in making YouTube videos.
Zach Kreger was another. YouTube.
Yeah.
He was a YouTube comedy guy, did lots of YouTube skits, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. And also, there's a film called Together, I think, which is from a guy who started out on the... I suppose it's just a generational thing, isn't it? More and more people are kind of becoming that age where they are kind of able to get projects off the ground, and their background, they would have started out when they were 13, just sticking stuff on YouTube.
And that's the kind of good thing about YouTube, isn't it? I mean, for all of the kind of gaudy sort of shit that's on there are a lot of people doing interesting things, and that platform allows them,
this for example.
Exactly. Do subscribe. It allows them to circumvent the industry more in a way that filmmakers of the new Hollywood era couldn't. So I guess the challenge is that everyone's doing it, so it's hard to pick the diamonds and the dog shit, as it were. But I think you're right. I think there's room for optimism, and I think Sam Raimi, the spirit of Sam Raimi is kind of, it's going through a different lens, But I think it's there, and it's also really hard. I think what you were saying earlier, I've got pretty limited experience of working on sets, but I have been a runner on a film set, a TV film set, and what really struck me was a lot of the other runners were kind of immediately deflated by the concept. They couldn't just walk on set and be like, the camera guy be like, right, what do you think about this shot? They were literally being like the lackey. You know, they were there to like refresh. I remember there was one particular guy, bless him, and I can't remember where he was from, but I think he kind of thought that was going to happen. And when he was basically treated like a bitch, like, which is horrible anyway. And I have a lot of reservations about the way the industry makes you earn your stripes. I think it's quite lame, to be honest. But that's part of the reason why I left, to be honest. But like, you know, he was so deflated by it, and I hope that he went off and just did his own thing. Right? I hope he's making something.
No, I think that's all. It seems to be, especially like the past 30, 40 years. It is very rarely now. It's not, you know, you're making tea on set and the director puts his arm around you, goes, right, son.
Can you give me a rewrite? 10 minutes.
Yeah, that just like, you know, that might have happened in the 40s when, like, you know, they were all kind of, you know, smoking and drinking on set and
Boy, this is your chance to shine.
Yeah. Have a go at this kid, like, you know. Like,
now they are just having a go at kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just always remember his face. It fucking crumpled honestly like a sack of shit. I felt so sorry for him because he literally walked thinking that.
Yeah.
Poor fella.
Yeah.
But it is hard. It's hard to move up because everyone's doing it. And another thing that sort of annoys me about it is the word of mouth thing. So if you don't conform or behave in a way that people basically be subservient.
Yeah.
And to be fair, let's be frank, I've also worked as a runner in different capacities and had a really good time of it. So I'm not saying it's all shit, but, you know, like, you kind of have to kind of just accept it, and you have to accept that your lowly position means that people are going to be quite confident in being dismissive towards you.
Yeah.
And the same people who are dismissive towards you will have their tongue firmly lodged in the rectum of someone higher than them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a hard thing to get your head around, particularly when you're kind of like new to it. And you remember what it's like as well, right? You were a runner for a while, and
it's tough, because you feel like you've broken in, and then all of a sudden you settle into a rhythm which is very much just like washing up and making teas and coffees, and it's like
you're basically working in a cafe.
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
And
not there's anything wrong with that.
And also, it relies on your social skills, of which mine are, you know, like,
that's what left. Yeah.
Hanging by a thread, especially at this point in my life. So it's hard, and then there are other more confident runners around you who are just like so good at seizing the opportunity to talk to these, and it's just disheartening. I mean,
it is.
You know, don't despair, of course.
No, give it a go.
Regardless, and sometimes it just takes a bit longer. And also, you know, being a runner does afford ways to borrow things like equipment. And that kind of stuff. And actually, that in a way is if you talk about your own project, it's probably a better way of conversing with crew that are higher up than you, as opposed to just saying, "Can I have a go at doing a shot?" You know, like
because naturally, someone whose job it is to do that is gonna most likely tell you to get fucked.
Particularly if they're used to being, they have there's no concern telling a runner to get fucked.
No,
do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
So whereas if you make your own film, you can, you know, if it's successful and you're good at it, you can then move up to bigger projects, and then you get to be the person.
Yeah, you become the monster that you.
So dream big, guys.
Dream big, be that monster. Yeah, I used to fucking hate it during like the TV events where they'd be like go and network. Yeah. And this is someone, like, when I think about me networking, like, I can't handle it when a waitress asks me if I want coleslaw with my burger. Do you know what I mean? Like, the idea of me selling myself, I don't know what I've got to sell.
And considering that one work event you invited me to because you're like, I need someone who can talk to strangers, and you picked your most socially awkward friend to come with you.
What a treat.
And then I think I talked about how much I'd suck off David Bowie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it worked out really well for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm now a director.
Yeah.
Bargain hunt.
Yeah.
So there we go. I'm now overseeing the background noise in the dementia ward of an old people's home. Yeah. So.
But Sam Raimi did that, I suppose, and was by no means the first person to do that, but I suppose the era allowed him to, in a way that he probably wouldn't have been allowed or be capable of doing in, like, let's say the 1950s, where, like, obviously camera equipment was a lot more cumbersome.
Yeah, and studios owned everything as well.
Yeah, studios owned everything. You couldn't I don't really think the idea of like a home video camera.
There were more independent studios, but they were very rendered peripheral by the studio system.
Yeah. I still think it's interesting, like, because when was Evil Dead? Is it late 70s, early 80s?
Early 80s. So, I think it might be actually 1980.
Okay, yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. So you still had to borrow these big sort of Steenbeck editing kits. You had, was it shot on 8mm or either 8mm or 16mm? But he didn't have like a gaffer. He didn't have anyone to sort of check that the gate wasn't full of hairs or stuff. So as a result, you get this really grungy, grimy, that sort of, obviously it was by mistake, but it lends itself so well to that genre. You get such a delightful end product that I think the unease generated by that film and the laughs and the kind of schlockiness of it is helped by the fact that he was held back by a lot of these constraints.
Absolutely. And we talk about that a lot in the context of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, the reason that film works and the kind of is because of the colour of that film, the colour palette of that film. And I think so much of that colour palette is the result of necessity. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the kind of earnestness of, as you say, that comes from those early sort of fledgling horror directors plying their trade. And it doesn't come from it's not a deliberate choice. If you see it as a deliberate choice now, I know in the era of homage and pastiche, you see a lot of that, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The whole point is that these guys didn't have the luxury of another crew member to keep an eye on those things, and they were just run and gun cinematography, shooting as they went, and that made it, right? That's why those films are kind of part of the reason why they're so special.
Yeah, definitely. It always goes back to Texas Chainsaw.
I know, I always have to shoehorn
it. But it's another example of that aesthetic, I think, and actually earlier than Evil Dead. But I don't think Raimi was attempting to replicate that.
No.
I think it was a happy accident.
Yeah.
I always remember there's a moment in Evil Dead. It's the first time you really see one of the kind of the zombies, for lack of a better. They're zombies, aren't they?
Basically,
what are they? Is there another term for them? I can't remember.
I guess it's just the possessed, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I don't think people will be pedantic.
No, yeah. I think there might be a deadites. Is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
And she's like spinning around in the living room. Do you remember that? I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a good example of like they clearly just working with what they had, and either he knew someone that had like some kind of gimbal setup that they were able to strap to this actor and spin her around in that way. It's such a like, what the fuck moment, I think, anyway. Like a lot of
so dynamic, isn't it? His style is so dynamic. Again, I think because of that acknowledgement that if I just frame this in a more kind of traditional manner, the imperfections are going to become more apparent.
Yeah.
So I have to be dynamic with the camera to kind of obscure that.
I feel like as well, something with a lower budget, and when you're doing it for yourself, and realistically, you don't know whether 10 people or 10,000 people are going to see it. Like, you are kind of a bit more kind of open-minded, and you do have to be creative a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, I always, stuff like it always reminds me of, obviously a bit much later, but the Crank films.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
They were all shot with like cheap consumer cameras, but they bought a lot of them. They made like they made their own like rigs and stuff like that, and they put them all over the place, and they weren't bothered about damaging them because they just take this like the SD card out, and they've still got the footage, and those cameras just don't cost anything. Whereas if you had like, one of the big studio cameras, like you obviously have to be careful with it because it's really expensive.
Yes.
Higher as well.
Less robust.
And then in turn, like, you can't film it as interestingly as, and I would argue that those films are two of the most creative action films of like this century.
Yeah. Especially the second one.
Yeah.
The second one has more of that raw, gritty grime. I think the first one was partially shot on film, but then they had like segments of home, like, for lack of a better term, like sort of home video, that sort of style. And then the second one, they really go all out with that, don't they? And it's like, in the context of now where everything popular seems to look the same.
Yeah.
I welcome a return of that, I think. Which just feels a bit more tactile and, like you say, dynamic, like Raimi was so good at. And still, is he still good at that? I don't know.
I think he confines it more to background now.
Yeah.
Personally. I thought Send Help, it was kind of like the film was kind of like caging it in a way that was quite interesting. I'm not saying this necessarily with negativity. They would burst out and then retreat.
Okay.
And it kind of created an interesting feeling, which I'm looking forward to sort of discussing a bit more with you guys. But
I know exactly what you're saying, actually.
But yeah, no, I really admire him. I think he's something incredibly. And obviously, Evil Dead 2 is basically one, but with more financial wallop, isn't it? Really?
Yes. That was the one. That's the one that has the Freddy Krueger glove in it, right, on the wall at one point. There's a little cameo of I think they were like shooting at the same time or something.
Oh really?
Someone
I didn't know.
nicked the glove and the set dresser put it in the.
Oh really? That's cool.
Yeah. And it's also one with the puppet of the deer, right, on the wall, and it starts talking. That's so much fun. Yeah. It took me a really long time to watch Evil Dead 2 because I was told by someone that it wasn't very good. I can't remember who, but it stuck in my mind of like, oh, it's going to be a naff sequel. I won't bother. The first one is the golden one, and then I think it was you guys who were like, no, it's great. Like it's arguably better than the first one. So yeah.
It retains the spirit, doesn't it, of the first one?
Yes,
with more money. I mean, I'm not as privy to the kind of financial situation that he was in after that. I imagine the first one was kind of like a proof of concept, kind of. Not to sort of devalue it, because it's an incredible achievement, and I think that maybe gave him a bit more money to kind of really expand on that.
Yeah. Do you think if he had, because obviously with financial backing, the financiers are probably expecting a sequel, not a remake, but it does feel more like a remake. Pretty much.
So it's both, isn't it? It's like,
yes.
I think the first one was like incredibly low budget, and again, like I don't think they were necessarily expecting loads of people to watch it, and it was successful, but it wasn't like crazily successful. It was just like quite impressive for a small film. And then I think, I don't know what studio got involved with the second one, but they were like, we like this, but I think almost just kind of like pretend that like the next audience hasn't seen the first one, so kind of. So it's like kind of a remake, but almost like kind of like simplifies it. It's almost like a kind of like recap of the first one, and then it adds like kind of like even madder kind of like extensions onto that.
Yes. Yeah. Like the kind of the foundations are there, but just make it more. Yeah.
Just in case, like, there's some people who haven't seen it, and
which is highly likely, given that the first one probably had a limited theatrical run, right?
Yeah.
Comparatively, I imagine, to the second one, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I mean, just by the very nature of it, and the fact that it was like a weird mix, because I think they did have to like raise money for it. I think there was like remortgaging of people's houses and stuff involved in that kind of. Yeah.
I had so much admiration for that.
I know, it's mad. I don't know how people do that. I don't know if it was easier back then.
Even still, you're putting it all on the line, aren't you?
Totally, yeah.
I have so much admiration for that. I really
often wonder if there's an example of someone trying that and it not paying.
Oh, I bet there's way more. There's got to be loads more.
I imagine what's the documentary about the film? Is it an American movie? Like what's? Is it called? Is that documentary from the late 90s about the two wannabe filmmakers who live in like a trailer?
Is it a horror film they're trying to make?
I think, yeah.
I wonder if, because Jan was telling me about something, and I wonder if it's the same thing.
Yeah, I can't remember. You can tell I've done my research. What's that film again? I'm like someone's nan, like, what's that? Except less racist.
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Like I imagine there's so many people who've done that, and especially the story about this. You got Kevin Smith as well, who maxed out, was it 27 grand's worth of credit card debt?
Did his parents remortgage their house?
I think it might be like Bruce Campbell, so like I think maybe he was on the slightly more fortunate side in terms of their like friend group, and he like raised the money. He was definitely involved in raising the money. And obviously they had to pay crew, not a huge amount of crew.
Most of the money went on the film stock, didn't it?
Yes, which was obviously really expensive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking the Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
But same with Evil Dead as well.
I'm sure Clerks, Kevin Smith remortgaged his house, or his parents did. Possibly. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Can you shed some light on this, Lee?
I think.
Have I imagined it?
No, I think he maxed out credit cards. I think he got like 27 grand's worth of credit card like debt.
No one's sticking around for that, are they? Now,
No.
not nowadays, but any time.
No, but then I guess like
It's crazy. So much admiration for it.
I mean, especially when you're young, like if you're in like your 40s and you're maxing out credit cards to make a film and you've got like a wife and kids, like
I still think it's good.
Probably
Captain Birdseye for the kids again, is it?
Then I've got this unwatchable film where I play this like like ripped hunk who is irresistible. And,
Yeah, look. Look, Arlo, I know you're hungry, but my Pinochet biopic isn't going to get made itself.
Well, listen, I've always said cinema comes first.
Exactly. I love the idea of a 40 grand debt to make a Pinochet biopic in England.
Yeah.
Playing Pinochet yourself.
Yeah. With no acting experience.
Yeah.
Put it all on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I can't listen. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's very true. Yeah.
I think it's the scrappy inventiveness that comes out of that. And I would be so anxiety ridden if I maxed out 6 credit cards using one to pay off another. I wouldn't be able to make a film, I think. So, fair play.
The fact that people can free themselves from, and again, this is where you get a bit romantic about it, isn't it? But the fact that people can sort of free themselves from the kind of trappings of the banality of life and go, no, I'm going to just risk it all.
Yeah.
This one sort of grasp at something that I love. And I just fucking sure as shit hope it doesn't go down the Swanee, Yeah, I really love it. I think it's, again, easy to get romantic about.
Yeah. But I guess, like I said, it's like you're not, neglecting baby Arlo.
I would for my Pinochet.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a child, but
Exactly.
my child is my Pinochet screenplay.
But I think like even if you do try it and like it goes tits up, at least I guess those people could go, you know what, I gave it a go.
Yeah, you tried.
Like,
you did more than most people would do. Yeah.
And then you go back to having an office job and you just have a skint couple of years whilst you pay it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Drive off the White Cliffs.
Yeah, or do that as well.
Go down in a ball of flames.
I don't think the White
Screaming Pinochet.
I don't think the White Cliffs have road access.
Yeah.
Well, that's the danger of it.
I get a tractor, which would be more money.
The bailiffs can't get you in the middle of the channel.
Yeah, that is factually true.
International war.
Do they have amphibious craft?
Yeah.
That's a good idea for a reality television show.
That'd be a spin-off of Can't Pay, Take It Away as a scuba team coming to...
Amphibious tax evasion operatives. Frogman. The benefit scrounge frogman. I'm pitching it.
Yeah.
Picture right now, episode 100. Ron Seal got 27 missed calls from them. We've lost our sponsorship. So, do you guys like Drag Me to Hell? Because it's a bit divisive, that film. I love it, but what's your thoughts on it? Because this is like later Raimi, post Spider-Man. He's got, he's able to pitch. He's able to get like secure financing for this kind of thing all of a sudden. And he makes this film which is half very conventional and half very unconventional, I'd say.
I think it's good. I like it. Yeah. I like it. I like the idea of it, I think, more than the film.
Okay, yeah. The execution.
It's a return to a kind of Raimi that we all love best, right? And don't get me wrong, like I love the first Spider-Man.
Yeah,
We talk about that a lot. I love Spider-Man 2. I like as well.
Yeah.
Emo 3, not as keen, but he has come. I think he's gone through that process of and I guess as well that he's not, the superhero genre isn't what it became, right? So I guess I don't know how much freedom he had or was afforded. I imagine probably more than he would have done with multiverse of.
Well, it was untested. It was largely an untested genre, superhero. So a lot of money behind it, but not a lot of expectation. And it's sort of, those films exist on their own as a artifact of the time. I think more so than the current Marvel sort of fare ever will.
Agreed.
And I think, he's going to be beholden to studio notes, but at the same time, it's clear just how much effort he's putting into this sort of realisation of this character.
Yeah, I think it's, tentpole. I think it's the most authentic comic book movie. I think one of the most authentic. Do you know? Just quickly as well. Do you know Sam Raimi was involved in the writing, or in some capacity, of Hoodsucker Proxy?
Did not know that. No.
This is funny because he was very good friends with the Coen brothers. If I'm not mistaken, didn't the Coen brothers actually work on one of the Evil Dead films, kind of?
Oh, it was an editorial capacity.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So I wasn't aware of that connection. It really surprised me because I was just doing a bit of research, you know me. I was looking at his writing credits. And yeah, I saw Hoodsucker Proxy. I was like, that's so weird. But then now you say that, it's not weird. I don't know.
No,
my ignorance.
Weirdly, Drag Me to Hell was the first Sam Raimi horror film I watched.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I watched that around my dad's as a teenager, and it was obviously I think it came out just after Spiderman 3, so obviously that wasn't very good, and I think he kind of wanted to go almost a little bit back to basics and doing what he does best.
Yeah.
But I was completely. I just thought it was going to be like a standard kind of horror film where it'd be a bit of fun, and not seeing the Evil Dead films, I was not expecting it to go as demented as it was with a possessed goat calling the main character a bitch and
I forgot that. How did I forget that?
And I remember it being kind of scary, but also funny.
Yeah.
And absurd and very surprised that this would be a studio horror film. Because at that point, I hadn't seen stuff like The Evil Dead and stuff like that, and I wasn't as cinema literate, if you were.
Yeah.
So, you always thought that
The
most
Virgin
horror
Eye.
films were quite kind of po-faced, if you will. Whereas, so I remember really enjoying it, and then later on, obviously watching the Evil Dead films, going, "Oh, this makes sense."
Yeah.
This is his bread and butter.
There's a kind of thread that runs through Drag Me to Hell and Send Help, which is more critical of modern life. So in the case of Drag Me to Hell, she's like an insurance. Isn't she the person in charge of accepting or denying insurance claims or something?
Yes.
And it's a Eastern European lady who is trying to claim on her insurance.
Yeah.
And she, for various reasons, because she doesn't understand the sort of American system, she gets rejected for this insurance claim. And it's sort of she's kind of horrible at the beginning, isn't she?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the thread running through the film is this is all happening because she refused to kind of inject nuance into the situation where clearly this fairly elderly lady doesn't understand what is going on. Almost in a kind of I, Daniel Blake situation. And then also Send Help.
I always knew Kevin Loach. Kevin? Ken Loach.
Loach.
Kevin Loach.
That's
his
his
real
less
name.
successful brother.
Yeah. He's like Gary Lineker's brother, Wayne.
Yeah, he's also faked handed in Ibiza as well.
Yeah. Drinking wickeds and getting in scraps.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so bleak.
Ken. But basically, Ken Loach. I didn't realise he ripped off Sam Raimi.
Well,
what a hack!
Yeah.
It's written on the wall, mate.
Literally.
Yeah. But then Send Help has a kind of a very obvious aversion to corporations and corporate greed and nepotism and stuff like that, and the kind of white man golf culture thing.
Yeah.
Which is very obvious, but so's Drag Me to Hell as well. I was kind of think there's a very overtly critical Raimi that's emerging from this all of a sudden.
Well, I guess obviously most kind of filmmakers would probably see themselves as artists, and most people get into it because they don't want to do a typical corporate job. But film is like any other thing. It is a
Capitalist
business
enterprise,
and if anything, it does have a very horrible, toxic kind of corporate culture. And there will be a lot of nepotism. There'll be a lot of kind of horrible CEOs who drink Huel and then just fire 100 people just so they can get their golfing mate in.
They won't drive a mini metro.
No.
Yeah, no. Can we just replace Huel with generic drink just in case she'll get in touch with us?
Yeah.
We slag off Huel quite a lot.
Yeah, we do. It's not the first time. It just came to my mind. Yeah.
They can try it.
Yeah.
I've got a good lawyer.
I prefer normal meals. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah.
It's also it's a kind of thing that's compounded, isn't it, by the fact that if you are someone that's sort of creatively inclined, and I guess this is the same with a lot of creative industries, they have, they're sort of dominated by a kind of business mindset that is the total antithesis of like what a meaningful kind of culture or creative mindset would aspire to, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting the case of Sam Raimi, obviously started outside of that, went and did Spider-Man, and I think Spider-Man 3 there were quite a lot of problems, right?
Yeah,
A lot of studio intervention, and so like he's probably kind of exercising his bitterness about that in these later films. Do you know what I mean?
like John Favreau with Chefs.
Right, yeah. It's like a lot of these filmmakers obviously work in these kind of big studio, and obviously they go on interviews and say, it was great. But the reality is that they're not going to
Promoting the very film that they're...
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it's interesting that, and I think it's, important to note that it is a kind of, it's kind of an industry that is from its very inception was kind of arm in arm with the economic ideology that kind of drove America. But I think there is something, you could get, again, romantic about the notion of that conflict between artists and sort of businessmen. And I can imagine Sam Raimi probably had quite a lot of run-ins in his career, given that his style is so often at odds with kind of mainstream filmmaking.
And he's made like so many different films, and he's been in the industry for so long now. Like, he's probably come across all sorts of people, like, and like the industry changed somewhat, but also some principles staying the same. Like, because like even now, obviously, it's gone from like the one scumbag studio head who's like a monster to kind of like faceless suits or Silicon Valley maniacs. Like there's so many different kind of different versions of bastard, really.
Multifaceted swatitude.
On a geopolitical scale.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Definitely didn't spend 3 nights planning that joke.
What were his notepads about?
Just a huge file behind the camera.
He just got that word written on the wall next to Ken Loach as a hack as well.
I have to write it on the wall in marker pen.
Oh, that's marker pen, is it?
Chalk pen.
I thought it was important to bring up Drag Me to Hell because I've seen it a couple of times, and I need
to rewatch it.
There's a couple of people I know that really dislike it. I think they expected one thing. They maybe expected a reasonably serious, like kind of talk to me almost esque horror film,
or like a Blumhouse style thing.
Where it's all very serious and brutal, and what they got was like really quite campy, which is Raimi's thing.
It's bread and butter, yeah.
And you can take it or leave it, but I love that in horror films when done correctly. I think the later like Nightmare on Elm Street films delight in that in a way which when I first watched them I didn't quite understand. If you see them now, especially like Dream Warriors, they're just so delightfully campy.
It's weird because I mean it's a bit of a generalisation, but I've always found that like that kind of like 2000 to 2010, like the noughties, I thought that was like a terrible decade for horror films. Like genuinely, because I thought it like the most popular films were just Saw and Hostel, and just like variations and sequels of that. Like how many Saw films was there? Like
it's like 11 now.
I think there's more films of Saw than you've done episodes, to be honest with you. Like
how many is it again?
100, baby. But like, so to have something like this, I thought it was like, really impressive because it did. Like, there was moments where it was genuinely scary, and then there's moments where it's like really silly and over the top. And you almost like sometimes when it's done well, like that's good because you have a sense of relief as well. Like you can be scared, but also laugh at like the more ridiculous moments. Like,
that's true.
It's interesting you say that there's a kind of like that period of like horror. It is quite sterile. cinematically sterile, you know. But there are some good ones, like Scream 5. Did that come out around then?
Scream 5.
2011.
Oh, was it 2011?
But it's in that era still.
I really like Scream 5.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch Scream 5, I think. I need to rewatch Scream 2.
Is that the one with the webcams, right? Scream 5?
Yeah.
But
But it's
I love a
always,
webcam.
Scream has that, like, the trope of, like, updating itself to reflect the horror films of the time.
Yeah.
And it's actually probably quite a good exercise in what horror films were like in the sort of 2000s to 2010.
Awkward footing, I think, for the genre more broadly, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think just a over reliance on gore, which I think can be deployed really well, but it's nasty, you know. And the idea is it makes you squirm. It doesn't make you jump, and it doesn't make you feel uneasy. It sort of makes you squirm, which is you know, I don't think it has a great deal of staying power. I think the first Saw is kind of an interesting idea and actually encapsulates a lot of the things we were discussing with Raimi and scrappy inventiveness. But then what came from that was just like really throwaway and nasty.
It's weird that a genre that has historically so much capacity to kind of insult the established order can become so
part of it.
Yeah. You know, like it becomes like this kind of because it becomes so predictable and safe. Do you know what I mean? It almost, and then when it deviates from that, people have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact the origins of horror have always been in kind of like frustrating, not just the established order, but challenging sort of expectations
And taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Pushing the envelope. Yeah, in that regard. Does sendhelp do that? Do you think? I mean, I don't really think it had anything new to say.
No, I don't think it does it. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if we look at, I think it's interesting the parallels, and you mentioned dragmetohell in the context of like post Spider-Man. You know, obviously Raimi post fucking multiverse of whatever it is, madness.
Yeah, multiverse madness.
You know, he's obviously been there, done it again, and he's like, oh, do you know, I want to go back to just doing something that's more me. You know.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's something that I think you could definitely see in Sendhelp. I think it's, you know, I don't think it's this kind of impactful as it probably sets out to be, but I don't necessarily think that's his fault. I think, the script, I think, sometimes lets it down a little bit, but I think by and large, I don't think it's a criticism to sort of say that it doesn't have the same impact. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I liked it, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a bit of a weird way of saying it.
I think for me, I feel like it's just a very workmanlike, well-made film.
Yeah.
There's little bits of kind of like Raimi style coming through with like, you know, some of the camera work and stuff like that. And I completely like kind of forgot that it does have this almost connection with Drag Me to Hell, with the kind of critiquing of that kind of horrible corporate culture.
Yeah.
But I think it is. It's just like a solid studio kind of horror thriller. Like just anchored by like two kind of good performances. And maybe that's part of it as well. Maybe like there is that sense of, again, like, because he's, you know, he's a bit older, he's a bit more experienced now, and he's just like, I'm gonna, you know, I'll do my little bits, but like this is kind of like showcasing these two performers and let them do the work.
Yeah.
Let the audience care about these two, and like, you know, let them do the talking, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like when, you know, you look at Raimi's work, you know, throughout the years, like, you know, it obviously doesn't, you know, hold up to like a, you know, Evil Dead or anything like that. But it also doesn't need to.
No, and I was thinking about that quite a lot this morning, weirdly, that it's perhaps unfair to hold him to that standard, you know, because, you know, that's him starting out. And you're going to give him a lot more grace because of that. And we talked about the kind of the scrappy inventiveness of him, and it's perhaps unfair to say it's not like Evil Dead, you know.
Like Evil Dead.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
It's a new era of Raimi. I think it's kind of interesting.
It's tethered to what once was.
Yeah,
but I get confined by what is.
Yeah,
a little bit, you know, and that's not
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah,
thanks again on the wall. Running out of space. I think. Yeah, the kind of the I don't think it's as kind of thematically incisive as it perhaps aims to be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I thought the opening was a bit strange.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was really kind of like clunky and odd.
The sort of close-ups of like the tuna.
I quite like that.
Yeah, that
me
was,
too.
that was
I-
good stuff.
yeah, I liked
thought,
that.
I enjoyed because that was just particularly disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes you weirdly. There's a lot of pathos generated by those moments, but there's also a kind of dynamic introduced there, which is kind of like, well, that is kind of like, oh, that would grate on me. Am I more like Dylan O'Brien than I perhaps thought I was, kind of thing. Yeah, but I agree. Maybe there's some pacing stuff with the opening.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know, because everything I say that's critical, but then I think one of the kind of pleasures of the film for me was seeing Raimi. I don't know, like seeing him confine that kind of his stylings, and it almost creates a sense of unease.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the bit where like they're, and we're skipping quite far into the film now, spoiler territory, but the bit where they're kind of talking about their backstories, and she's talking about her abusive partner, and he's talking about parents, and it's like it's quite a sort of big moment for both the characters. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And one of the script's stronger moments, I thought, and
Short on the volume, that bit.
Yeah,
I could tell. I was like, oh,
yeah, kind of takes it out.
Yeah. But as performances and as the screenplay, I really, really like that moment.
Yeah, it was very good.
That was unexpected, actually.
But it was awkward. There was a sort of sense that you always had the feeling that even though the sort of dynamics of power had changed, because that's what the film is essentially about, right? It's about this guy has power in a job that really has absolutely no meaning. Really,
yes,
and that's kind of a reflection of where the human race is, right? That we've got all these big buildings, these big monoliths to nothingness, and yet we all love it, we all aspire to it. But when the chips are down and shit hits the fan, it's the people that can fucking pick the right fruit that are going to be the people that survive.
Yeah.
So those people are so dependent on the power structures that exist to be twats, and that permeated through that scene.
Yeah.
There was an awkwardness, and I think that. So on the one hand, I criticise Sam Raimi for not being Sam Raimi enough in this film, but at the same time, it works in generating a sense of unease. I don't know where I am with it.
I think I'd be more critical if the performances weren't so good.
Yeah.
I feel like Rachel McAdams is fantastic in this.
She's great, yeah.
And I think what's interesting about this character is like you do mostly kind of feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
And like obviously Dylan O'Brien's character, and he's fantastic at being such a hateable, like I said, like there's a Huel drinking, coke sniffing freak.
Yeah. Gold thing.
Yeah, and like, but at the same time, there's something about Rachel McAdams' character. Like, yes, she's sympathetic, and it is very kind of showcasing of like, there are a lot of women in a lot of different workplaces that tend to have to work twice as hard as men and don't either get paid as much or they don't get the opportunities as much.
No recognition or anything.
No.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's something about her character as well where like she has that kind of martyr syndrome as well. I don't know if any of you guys have worked with people who go above and beyond even when they don't need to or don't have to or haven't been asked to. Because they've done that, they also kind of
They expect too much.
They expect too much in return, or they kind of like hold everyone else to that same standard, and and when they don't get the thing they weren't promised, she was in this, but there's like a toxicity to almost like working too hard and making it your life and kind of making your work your personality. So like she's not like the perfect person. She's not in many ways she is not looking after herself, ironically, until she's on this island where like she feels more at home and it becomes her habitat. And then we have the kind of, reversal of roles. And then that in turn brings out maybe a little bit more vulnerability to Dylan O'Brien's character, because for the most part, everything that goes wrong for him, you're glad about it because, he is such a lamentable person, and we definitely need less horrible CEOs in the world. But like everything else, like every human being has a complexity, except for Michael Owen. You know, this is what this is what happens during this scene. Really, you kind of start to understand maybe why he is how he is, like because he's had many voids in his life in terms of affection and kind of care. And
yeah, I liked that it didn't linger on it, and I liked that he was still a twat afterwards.
Yeah.
I think you're right as well about performances saving that element of the film, and I also, I think the lack of a kind of moral 180 or 360, I should say, is what makes his character more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he has that moment where he reveals that about himself, but he's still a twat.
Yeah,
and but I agree with you though.
Yeah, like you understand why he is how he is, but like he never at any point tries to.
There's no redemptive arc.
No.
Yeah.
And even when you're kind of like obviously towards the end, Rachel McAdams' character is doing evil things. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's you just still at some point it's like, yeah, go on, fucking get him.
Yeah.
There's a
Fuck him up.
Yeah.
There's a catharsis to the ending, and there's a kind of nudge, wink, very overt about the way it pans out. I also thought there was a bit nearer to the start where I think there's a kind of insinuation that Dylan O'Brien's character's fiance has died as well. Was she on the plane or like? I don't know. I remember him kind of like choking up very briefly about someone dying, and then kind of and then kind of relaxing very quickly. Maybe
that was the blonde fella, wasn't it?
That's right.
His understudy, yeah.
So he chokes up really quickly, and then it sort of passes.
Yeah.
I just kind of thought that was an interesting character moment that he kind of brought to it subtly.
Do you think the film is a kind of does it have a more nihilistic view about human nature, or about the sort of socioeconomic sort of system that we live in? Because I was thinking this in the film. I was thinking this. I don't know why I sounded like that. I was thinking this because it's this kind of a damning indictment that she goes from being this kind of subservient, meek, sort of almost like a walking joke for her colleagues.
Yeah.
And the moment she has power, she becomes exactly what it is, that she despises. Although there are moments where, like, there's another really great bit where she says he tries to make it on his own and obviously can't do it. He comes back to her and says, "What do I need to do?" And he starts taking his shirt off.
Yes, that's right.
Very much in the same way that I think it's implied that we know that a lot of men in power would do to women.
And there's a scene at the beginning which is kind of teetering over the edge.
Yeah,
of
that interview that he's doing with that lady. Yeah.
But he's got an open door policy.
Yeah.
So
So bollocks.
I think.
But what do you think about that? Is it more like this? Because I don't know. But the sort of system we are in, or people in general.
I think there's an element of that. I think again it goes back to kind of how McAdams' character is like so brainwashed by this corporate culture as well. Like instead of like
as an aspirant, maybe.
Yeah. Like because if anything, like you would have thought as well, like the being on this island, being at one with nature, like being in control, like you could almost see it as like, I don't actually need any of that shit.
It's like Swiss Family Robinson, isn't it?
Yeah, like but instead because obviously like what her reward is for like committing these evil crimes, if you will, is just basically taking that role for herself and becoming, like I said, like the thing that like you hate. Like there's no like kind of like she could have gone on and done anything else after that. Like, but
like she becomes the golf club wielding powerhouse CEO thing.
Yeah,
But the girl boss thing, which I think is really interesting as well,
more
because
modern,
because that's seen as like a progressive idea, isn't it? But it's still inherently beholden to the horrors of sort of the capitalist system that we live in, right? So there's something to be said about that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's it. It's like she becomes the monster.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
In like both the literal term in terms of like being a killer, but then also like in being part of this horrible culture and being in charge of it.
I think the film, what is kind of hinting at is, yes, there are sort of very, very unfair power structures that exist in the modern landscape. But like you say, human nature will dictate that inevitably, even if you go back to like sort of Stone Age way of thinking, hunter-gatherer, there are still going to be hierarchies that emerge. Maybe naturally, maybe not so naturally, maybe because of sort of duplicitous behaviour, and that's always been like a human nature thing.
Maybe, yeah. I feel like it's more it's because it's tethered to what their life they had before, though. That's kind of how I saw it.
Okay, yeah. So
I sort of refuse to accept that humans are so naturally so horrible. I don't know. Maybe that's ignorance on my part to the literature. I don't know, but I feel it was more like a system thing than a person thing. I don't know.
So because they've existed in that kind of hierarchical structure beforehand, it's reversing, but it's not disappearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a half-baked idea on my part, but I don't know.
Better than my idea, which is no idea. Yeah. I just kind of like thought of that right now. I was like, oh yeah, it's commenting on that in some way, in a very fun way.
Yeah, I mean, and not that my view on it's right, by the way. You also,
No.
I thought you were just about to have like a kind of network style meltdown where you just look into the camera and just like, actually, I know nothing. Yeah.
I'm mad as hell.
I don't even like films.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
You pull your trousers down. I was like, I sold my cock off last night.
I just want to live on an island on my own.
I'm going to turn all the lights off.
Cockless.
No, yeah. Enjoyable film, ultimately. I thought, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's not particularly technologically speaking doing a great deal more. There's a lot of slightly ropey green screen, the aforementioned volume. I thought some of the plane crash stuff doesn't really hold up. It looks kind of cheap in places, I did think, unfortunately.
I agree,
which for Raimi, it's a bit of a shame because previously that cheapness informed his style and complemented the themes, and this felt like it was trying to be slick and not really having enough money to pull it off.
Is that more of a comment of where we're at, though? That and it's kind of sad in a way when you frame it that way.
Yeah.
Because Raimi, worked cheap but was clever with it, whereas now he has to kind of like do it because that's what's expected. I don't know. Hard to know without being on the a fly on the wall, I guess.
I think that it does suffer from that same problem that a lot of modern films do, whereby everything is all of a sudden possible. Therefore, the creativity put into those shots is less than it would have been in the 1980s, 1990s, because it doesn't force you into doing it elegantly. It's like a kind of afterthought, and it does suffer from that, I'm afraid to say. Like especially the plane crash scene. Like look at that and look at the way it looks. It does look cheap, and not in a good way, I'm afraid.
And it's a shame because it's quite funny. There's a couple of quite funny bits that happen on the plane, and I know what you mean. It sort of pulled me out of it.
No, but it doesn't detract from the overall sort of story, but it did slightly pull me out just in places. There's a sort of couple of moments also on like a kind of high up area, which are very like look at the edges sort of thing. And I'm looking at the edges because it's sort of what I do. Where it's so annoying. I wish I could just not bother, but it's just I can't help myself, and I'm like, ooh, this I couldn't have done a better job. Jesus, I mean, you got to work with what you've got, but just thought it was worth mentioning, as an aside.
I think it's particularly important part. I think it's a particularly important part because of Raimi, right, and his legacy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh.
What next for Raimi?
I don't know. I mean, that's one of the delights of him is you never really know where he's going to go next. He could do like another $200 million.
Could direct an episode of EastEnders.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be so good. I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast, but every now and again EastEnders do something really. We talked about the Alfie Moon episode where the cat. Oh, sorry, for everyone that isn't English, it's going to be indiscernible. But fine. But the episode where cat's like, I want a bit hanky panky.
Yeah.
Sex.
I mean, that could be any episode starring Cat Slater, to be honest.
That's true. It wasn't just a bit of a slag. That was a total slag. So good. And the nun's like, no, it's like, and he has to, but she's like, I haven't got any rubber johnnies. And he goes on this odyssey across London trying to find condoms. It is honestly one of the best episodes of soap television I'd ever seen.
That sounds amazing.
There's a bit where he tries to like buy some from a shop, and some criminals burst into the shop and rob all the condoms.
As if that's what they are.
Yeah.
And
Horny, but they don't want the mess.
yeah.
No.
And to be fair, one thing I would say about this film was, like, I think it would have been improved if maybe Shirley from EastEnders was in it as well.
True.
But,
Yeah.
you know,
And Michael
sadly-
Owen.
Yeah. You know. In the helicopter.
I've come to save you.
Gets arrowed.
I don't even think Dylan O'Brien would want to go.
Oh no,
be
Rachel
like-
McAdams is shooting a bow and arrow at me. I best avoid it.
If I get hit by that arrow, I might die.
Oh no, I'm dead.
Who will look after the horses at home? Who will pleasure the horses?
I feel like every time I call this episode, it ends up with me ragging on Michael Owens.
References to his slightly bestiality.
Well, to be fair, he's only watched 9 films, so if he's watching this, like,
Yeah. He's like, maybe I need to go on the internet to get hot takes.
oh, this one looks good. That film looks interesting. Just destroying his character. wishing Rachel McAdams.
Oh, fucking hell. My
That'll be the
horses.
sequel.
My horse, my kingdom for a horse. Shakespeare. That's what he needs to do.
Michael Owen.
Yeah, Michael Owen is Richard III.
Yeah.
Chloe Zhao directed. That'd be amazing.
That sounds fucking great. Oh, so good.
Nice.
Outro.
Outro.
Questing the cinematic void.
Oh, there we have it then.
There we have it.
Sam Raimi, send help.
A
asking-
century.
I'm not asking Sam Raimi to send help, just to clarify. Yeah, really enjoyed that. Thanks for coming on, Lee, as well.
Always a pleasure, big man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys, especially for the big 100.
Yeah. 100 more to come,
Oh,
hopefully.
yeah, definitely.
But no more.
After 200,
Then
that's it. Yeah. Our relationship's going to take so much.
I don't think this laptop's going to definitely fucking die after 200. Yeah, what are we doing next week?
Wuthering Heights.
Emerald Fennell's third movie.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed Saltburn. I haven't actually seen Promising Young Woman. I will watch that.
I've seen none of her films.
Okay, yeah. So Saltburn's interesting. It's sort of, I mean, she's an Oxford graduate, and it's about people at Oxford, and that tarnishes the message of the film, which I think some people thought was slightly kind of anti that, like, upper middle class attitude, and I don't think it was, but it's still an interesting film and a lot of fun. This Wuthering Heights being a novel we've both read, I believe. One of your favourites, right?
I do. I'm a big fan, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Bravo 20, but...
No, what is?
No, well, exactly, yeah.
McNabb and Bronte, you know, they're just no comparing them.
No,
really.
no.
Yeah, he's on another level.
Yeah.
No, and you know, I feel like the novel captures a sort of bleakness of the moors, whereas this film is trying very hard, I think, to appeal to that sort of Valentine's Day crowd, which is odd.
It's shot like a music video, I think.
Yeah,
She's a music video director, wasn't she, Fennell?
That makes sense. Yeah,
And I have a bit of an aversion to that style bleeding into long form film. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could really like it.
It might surprise us, but I think I'm slightly sceptical.
I have a feeling I'm not.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and dispel that because it's not a healthy attitude to have into any film. But
But you can't help but digest the marketing materials and also kind of.
But again, that's not necessarily her. I don't know. It's more. I don't know. We moan about marketing a lot in film. Lee, you going to see it?
I think I might try and see it at some point. Yes, we've recorded this just the day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And
That's why we're to go see Send Help on Valentine's Day.
Just sat up and watched an Australian low-budget horror film. Watch him upstairs. Rose petals on the bed. Barry White on the box. I'm watching fucking pig balls some fucking Australian piss head in the
Chugging
outback.
Stella Artois next to you.
well, naturally, like, you know, me and my partner went to the cinema yesterday, and you probably thought, oh, perfect time for Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
We went to see Looney Tunes The Day the Earth Blew Up, so, you know, that was our Valentine's treat. But, you know, to be fair, hopefully
Grease the wheels, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and hopefully for you, for your guys' sake, Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie have just as good a chemistry as Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. And
that's
maybe
one of
the
the-
same sort of erotic scenes in the middle.
Yeah, funny enough, that was Commode's criticism.
It always is.
Let Looney Tunes go, Mark. For God's sake, man.
Don't have to fuck.
Yeah, it's kids' entertainment, Mark.
Christ's sake.
You sicko. I bet he did all those weird Simpsons sex videos as well. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah,
I absolutely hated those. Yeah.
I mean, you protest a bit too much there. I absolutely hate those.
Yeah.
And I tell you what,
I'm just going to go on record and say I really hated them. Like, I didn't watch them.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
you
like them.
And you definitely didn't watch all those Family Guy porn videos as well, did you?
Yeah, none of them. Can I get a pillow?
We'll pause. We'll cut this out.
Quickly. Pretending that I'm virile enough for my erection to even pull through.
No, this is all staying in.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
can't cut. It's impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
impossible.
thanks for inviting me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lovely
always a
to have you,
pleasure.
mate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so in the meantime, thank you for getting to the end of the app. Thank
very
you
much.
for all of your love, support on the 100th episode.
Yeah.
Or
Cheers.
the 100 episodes, or the 99 episodes preceding the 100th episode, which is, of course, now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Wait, guys, this is 100 episodes.
I know, yeah, I keep forgetting. Yeah. Take it easy, look after yourselves, and we'll see you on the bleak North Yorkshire moors. Moors.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Ooh.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.